Hey there, everyone. Brian Keene here with you for a special supplemental edition to Secret Histories. If you've been following along with the Secret Histories series, then you know that the next novel we're going to be talking about is A Gathering of Crows. And A Gathering of Crows, along with Leader of the Band and The Girl in the Glider, and Clickers 3, those 4 books mark the end of basically the first half of my entire career. They mark the end of my association with leisure books, with delirium books. They mark the end of a marriage. They mark the end of my very popular Hail Satan blog. They mark the end of the 2000s horror comeback, the popularity of horror fiction, which would not be achieved again until the 2020s. Before I talk about The Gathering of Crows, I wanted to take a look back again at the start of my career. In Secret Histories, we are not going to be talking about anthologies that I appear in, because there are hundreds of those. And while we will, of course, and have covered my short story collections, we're not going to, as I said, talk about multi-author anthologies that I was published in, because there's just too many of them. But I do want to talk about these two right here, because they are near and dear to my heart: A Darker Dawning and A Darker Dawning 2. So what is this? Well, back in 2000, myself and some of my friends, we didn't have a lot of things to sign at conventions. If you've gone back and watched the early episodes of this series, you know that it was basically No Rest for the Wicked and 4x4 for me. That's all I had. Some of the others had even less than that. But we were starting to catch people's attention, and at conventions and such, we were getting asked if we wanted to do signings. We didn't have anything to sign. So we got the idea to put together a chapbook that would showcase all of us. GAC did all the artwork, because we wanted to showcase GAC. And then it was Jeff Cooper, Ryan Harding, Mikey Hike, myself, Gina Mitchell, Mike Oliveri, and John Urbansink. Now, there were other friends who could have very easily been a part of this. Tom Piccirilli and J.F. Gonzalez already had books out, so they passed. Weston Oaks wasn't quite there yet. There's a lot of folks like that, Rain Graves. I don't know why Rainey wasn't in this. I should ask her. I'm sure we asked her at some point, but I don't remember the reason. But what we did is we each contributed a brand new short story. GAC illustrated everything. We paid to print it. And by paid to print it, I mean we used John Urbansink's job at his office. We used their really nice copier machine. And we printed, I think it was 350 copies of this. And then we split them up amongst ourselves, and we went to the World Horror Convention 2001 in Seattle, and this is what we signed. This is what we gave out. If we talked to an editor and they said, oh, you have anything I can check out, we'd hand them a copy of this. If one of us talked to an agent, we'd hand them a copy of this. If one of us talked to a reader, we'd hand them a copy of this. So not only were we promoting ourselves, we were promoting each other. Lo and behold, these became collector's items, and they started going for a lot of money on eBay, particularly years later when The Rising came out. Well, not years later, 2 years later when The Rising came out. And then Ryan, shortly after that, had his collaboration with Edward Lee, which blew up. Mike Oliveri quickly won the Bram Stoker Award for first novel. So these became really, really in demand, and we weren't going to print anymore. But what we did do was print a second volume, Darker Dawning 2, Rain and Black. Again, it's the same contributors. GAC did the art. This time we sold ads. I remember that. It was my idea to sell the ads. We got Delirium Books to buy the inside front cover. The 4x4 paperback had come out by then. Brackert's Point, New York, of course, is the fictional town that all of Jeff Cooper's fiction takes place in, and some of us have set stuff there as well. This time, we did reprints as well as originals. Because as you can see here, we were starting to get busy. Oliveri, fresh off his Stoker win, was getting busy. Mikey, who was editing Gothic Net at that point, was very busy. It's neat to go back and look at these. We never did a third one because at that point we started blowing up. Ryan Harding has gone on to have an enviable career. He's a big name in extreme horror circles. Urbancic, absolutely the most prolific of us. He was the most prolific of us back then. He's the most prolific of us still to this day, 30 years later. Has had a commendable career. Gina, while not as prolific as the rest of us, she's made some big waves in the field of academia. And Gina has written some books and written some short stories and published them, and I'm not downgrading or downplaying anything that she's done. I'm just saying she's not as prolific as the rest of us, so maybe not everybody's as familiar with her stuff. But you will be, and you should be. And if you're a Ruby Jean Jensen fan, she just finished a remarkable academic biography of Ruby Jean Jensen that I can't wait to get published. Mikey, of course, Gothic Net blew up big. He was a big part of that. Carpe Noctem magazine, he was, huge part of that. And GAC went on to illustrate some of the biggest books in the industry at that time, for some of the biggest names in the industry at that time. Coop, that's Coop's story to tell, but Coop, he never stopped writing, but he quit trying to play the game. Again, it's his story to tell, but I don't think Coop liked the fucking game of submitting and waiting for editors to get back to you, and you know what? Not everybody's built for that, man. There's no shame in that. But these are people who are important to me. They were important to me then. They're important to me now. And yeah, I have nothing but absolute fond memories for these two chapbooks. Used to see them on eBay all the time. Rarely see them anymore. So I have no idea what they would go for these days. We have a copy of this at Vortex, and I have it marked at $50. I don't know what the original would go for. But yeah, that was how we used to do it. Internet was early, so we would print up little zine-like chapbooks and hand them out for free at horror conventions. I don't know, maybe we'll see a return to that. Social media is fragmenting, and with Google, and people starting to use AI and chatbots for their search results, online advertising is a quickly dying thing. So maybe we'll see people going back to doing stuff like this. It would be cool. I would cheerlead it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this diversion, this supplement to Secret Histories. Really, it was just me realizing that I am not yet ready to talk about A Gathering of Crows. The last three books that we've talked about, Clickers 3, A Girl in the Glider, and Leader of the Band, Hail Satan 4, I've gotten emotional for all three of those, and I know I'm going to get emotional for Gathering of Crows, and I just wasn't ready to do that today. So instead, I thought I'd talk about something that I have fond memories of that makes me happy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for letting me share it with you. We'll be back next time, I promise, with the absolute end of an era and the publication of Gathering of Crows. Peace.